Hello everyone and welcome back here at the second map of today. It's the Consolidation final in Galaxy Racer facing off against Team DeftFox. And it's Galaxy Racer that picked up that first map on Overpass. And look at some of these beautiful highlights. Anna, she freaking stepped up with her AWP. And we saw some beautiful moments on the other side as well. It was very, very close. 16-13. Harry, what are you thinking? We have Vertigo coming up next.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried. I'm not gonna lie, Fearless. I'm a little bit worried for DeftFox, especially after I really did like sing their praises earlier on. You know, I'm taking a look at the scoreboard now. Fatal, she had a great game, so did Victoria, but it was like the rest of the gang, and usually like two names that we really look towards to be stepping up, I think, Maria and Keisu, and it felt like they were a little bit quieter than normal. Then you kind of compound that by looking over at Galaxy Racer, and we've been talking about Claudia all tournament long for very good reason, but someone who had a great game there and was instrumental, it feels like, to them picking up the victory was Kelly, and she was so good in that series. Top in ADR, top in KD, top in KASP. She just led the way in every single form, it feels like. And then she had the rest of the team behind her, not a single player going negative. So this is a pretty scary one, especially now that we move into the map pick of Galaxy Racer, Vertigo. And from what you've told me, DeftFox, I don't know if they were too prepared for this being the pick here.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not very comfortable looking for them, but maybe, you know, maybe they can show up today on Vertigo. You never know. So far, pistol round, a little bit chaotic here over towards B, and the kills fly either way. We have Team DeftFox still with 3 people alive, and Fatal coming in with a good flag. That's the first kill, and Anna was a little bit blind there. Will turn around, and now in a 1 versus 1, she needs to find that player, and she is gonna find Keisu there. And Galaxy Racer, they take the pistol round.
Yeah, that's such a shame, right? Because I think Fatal, more so than anyone else in the server right now, is so good in those moments when you need her to step up and deliver you a couple of kills. She was coming in as like the player to have all the impact in that round. She takes down the first and then just whiffs, you know, that 1 or 2 shots, giving Anna that 1 or 2 seconds of timing to turn around and deal with her. And sadly, you know, with that not connecting, the whole round kind of falls apart on the back of it. Keisu in the 1v1, right? Like, I don't think there's much you can say there. It's a 1v1, like it's a 50-50, and Anna just hits all of her shots. So now this mid play coming in, it's another attempt at getting into construction. However, it's more destruction in this round as they get torn apart. See what I did there? It was like a little rhyming thing, as well as being the opposite of constructing. And Keisu's all alone in a 1v4. MP9 in hand, but doesn't have armor behind it, so this really isn't like the ideal weapon to have when you're armorless, because that aim punch is just going to send your aim everywhere. So she's just going to hold on to all these little gimmicky angles, wait and hope that someone comes to her. I mean, luckily enough, Galaxy Racer, they're up to the challenge of hunting this kill down.
Looks like she wants to take away another gun, but that's not going to be the case. 23 will flick onto her head, you know, and no armor. That's a very deadly scenario. So Galaxy Racer have now a second round under their belt, and Team DeftFox will come up with the first buy round. Full on AKs. And now a nice bit of util as well. You know, Galaxy Racer can just very safely just go here for a little bit of a bonus round. Some people can go pretty aggressive with those MP9s. You know, you have plenty of money in the bank. But look at that, Victoria through the smoke and a headshot as well onto Anna. Well, that's already a first player taken out of the game, and Mariah now is also going big, getting Bilga there. And look at that, even more onto 23, expecting where every single player of Galaxy Racer is situated. You know, now Claudia here alone on A. She needs to make it happen, and it's not gonna... Nope, it's not happening. Actually, I thought it was almost a collateral, but they lined up there 1 by 1. And Team DeftFox, they did a pretty damn good job of checking all the angles, clearing everyone out. And now they have the first round. Oh, that cheeky kill through the smoke.
Yeah, Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, I'm seeing a lot of very good utility usage out of DeftFox, which makes me think, you know, maybe this isn't like one of the strong maps in their pool, but it certainly looks like it's not just one that they've neglected entirely, right? They do have like a pretty good default established in terms of getting the short smoke down and then using that to work over towards ramp early on. We've seen them really like to go for these mid splits as well through construction. So, you know, the worry I had coming into this, which was, you know, that they were going to look a little unprepared in comparison to Galaxy Racer. I don't think that's the case anymore. You know, maybe it's just not one that they feel as comfortable on, but that's not to say they haven't put some kind of like a good amount of hours into this map. And Anna with the AWP trying to hold down short side, does what she can. She'll put up the first, but she has lost her 2 teammates over here at the A side of the map, and so that's going to call for very, very heavy rotations. Now DeftFox is doing a very good job as well of playing this T side in a way that I just love, because Vertigo is a map where you can play around these rotations so well. And I've called DeftFox the masters of the mid round a few times, and Vertigo is a map that lends itself to that so well. You know, that they fake over towards A, they hear these players leaving B, and while all that happens, Keisu pushed up in towards BT spawn, holds for these rotations. You know, they're not anticipating that players have gotten this deep yet. And there's just someone ready to come in from everywhere to deal with these players, to cut down these rotations and deal with like flanks. And so DeftFox completely handle that round with real class. They go 2-2, and with it, they break the economy of Galaxy Racer. Coming into this, I thought maybe this was a done deal, and I'm not so sure anymore.
No, maybe, you know, maybe they can pull something off. And especially, you know, now with the latest changes of Vertigo, things have changed so much. And, you know, maybe also on the Galaxy Racer side, they need to adapt a little bit more and get used to it as well. But now they're kind of stuck on this eco round. We'll most likely just do it with some bare pistols, maybe 2 flashbangs onto Anna or something, but probably will not be a whole lot because you want to hold on to that economy going into the next round. And maybe they can make something happen. Maybe they decide to go for a stack or something out of the ordinary. But looks like, oh, actually, here we go. Majority of the people here towards that A-bomb site, they've been hitting it actually pretty early on. So far, Team DeftFox, they're trying to go for that control over on A, and then usually have a lurk around B. And if something goes the way there, they sometimes rotate. But now, you know, just sitting tight and holding some angles. 3 people there holding ramp. That's a big challenge. You know, if one person walks up with an AK with a good flash, that could become the end. But Anna is there with that flashbang, and as soon as that one pops, they're going to be pushing it. But everyone, they heard it already, and everyone is just backing off back towards B. They already had a player over there. They can easily take side. Keisu was there getting out a kill as soon as rotations start to come in. And this is looking like, well, it could be... Yeah, it's most likely going to be a very clean sweep here.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that I found so interesting. So when you messaged me before this game started today saying that one of these teams had picked Vertigo, I originally thought it was going to be DeftFox to have made that decision, like based purely on how we've seen them play and how we've seen them approach this game. Because this is a map that really lends itself to getting in your opponent's head, making these quick rotates happen in a very similar way to, like, think about Overpass with Connector, something that DeftFox really do make like a staple of holding on to on their T side, because they love these very orchestrated fakes. Vertigo is very, very similar in that fashion, but instead of just being one area that's like that, it's the entire map that kind of falls under that category, you know. So I think if you're Galaxy Racer, you're going to be very, very hard pressed to play reactive Counter-Strike, and that's why we've seen so many of these rounds where they are just playing back in the bomb sites really struggle. And you'll note that DeftFox aren't like throwing caution to the wind in doing this. They are like establishing this default, and they hold all these angles to go aggressive. So what's going to be important important here for Galaxy Racer is that they kind of find their niche as to where they can go aggressive and where they can try and take players down early. Because whenever they're losing this advantage early on and whenever they're giving it to DeftFox, it completely removes the element of control from your side. And so suddenly you're playing reactively to the information that DeftFox are almost wanting you to hear and wanting you to believe. Like this round here, right? They've lost someone early on. Now they're in a 4-on-5. So what's that going to lead to? Well, for Galaxy Racer, they don't want to overextend into this default. And this is going to force them back into these bomb sites. And so now for DeftFox, they throw all this utility into A. But at a moment's notice, if they decide they don't like what they hear, or if they hear too many players in this A bomb site, they rotate away and they'll hit B, because they've done that time and time again. And so here it is. It's just this patient game. You wait, you know the Galaxy Racer, they want to try and go for these info plays just to have a bit more of an idea as to where this play is ending up. And it's led to another player falling. So now the push comes in. 40 seconds, there's still time for that bomb to rotate away, and that is exactly what's going to happen. They barrel it out of the site, and the reason they've done this is because once again Keisu is holding for these rotations ahead of time, and once again they walked to their death into Keisu, leaving Vilga all alone.
Oh man, I understand if you want to rotate, but at least try to keep someone maybe on mid and see, you know, last time it happened that they had someone lurking and then getting the better of your rotation. So you need to look out for doing the same thing again. And
so yeah. I hate to like cut you off there, but no, just because you've raised like a very, very good point, and I completely agree with you in the sense that, yeah, the problem is that they do need to have someone in middle or in B just to be keeping an eye on this, but because they're kind of like trying to have the best of both worlds, right? They're trying to go a little bit aggressive and then fall back into these passive holds, but that doesn't work. Like the way that you kind of need to take this aggression on a map like Vertigo, in a way that we so often see teams do it, right, is with like these aggressive ramp peaks with like 3 players or a mid player, a ramp play where you have numbers there, so you can trade off of each other, because you're not going to get any free real estate versus DeftFox right now. You need a lot of bodies there, and you need to win out those fights on firepower and utility. And that's not happening. All the peaks that have come in have been individuals trying to take these fights and trying to get this information. And so finally we have like this switch up of a group of players taking B ramp, and that was so needed. So it feels like they've kind of like wisened up to the point that you just brought up, and we're seeing that right here in this round. Admittedly, it's only a partial buy, but hopefully that keeps up into the rifle rounds.
Yeah, now they will just have to do it with the pistols. 23 here with the boost. Will tag Elizabeth, but it's not going to be enough for a kill. Fatal will follow up onto Anna. And yeah, well, this is not looking too great eventually. Vilga will manage to trade things a little bit, but Kelly onto 1 HP. Vilga down to half. It's not looking too great, and still plenty of room and time for DeftFox to work with. The bomb is now planted in Keisu once again in a great after plant position if someone decides to push. She's just going to be holding it very, very quietly. Kelly there onto the ramp, you know, kind of taking Keisu's spot now. And not sure what to do. Most likely she will just be looking to pick someone off and save a rifle going into the next, but that's not going to happen. And now it's just Vilga, you know, sitting casually on the lower part of B, just waiting and hoping maybe someone will walk into a crosser. You know, this is like a very like cheeky angle. Oh, but it gets expected. Keisu will spot her down below, and we'll make sure that even that AK will not be up for saving for Galaxy Racer. But they do have the money, so it is all good for Galaxy Racer. They have a buy round now coming up. But look at this. We have 3 players over on Team DeftFox that are like over the 10K as far as money goes.
Yeah, this is where, honestly, the thing that I would absolutely love to see is Anna with this AWP, because right now she's over in the B site, which is totally a fine position to be taking, especially with this double ramp hold. I was going to say either you take it towards B to try and get that early pick down ramp, or we have a heavy challenge at the top of A ramp with an emphasis on shutting these players out of A ramp and getting that control with the AWP to free up a few more players at A to help out elsewhere on the map. They're the two ways that I would love to see Galaxy Racer approach this. And so what the benefit to them clearing out B ramp has done is now they know that K2 isn't coming in for like one of these late lurks into the B bomb site. They haven't given up a kill early. This is one of the best spots we've seen DeftFox in on this CT side yet. And they've just got to be careful now to not give up an advantage. Now, that's a bit of a question mark. And this is the downside to not having your AWP locking down ramp. These players have been allowed to creep up so close into this A bomb site, and the AWP just wasn't ready for it. Now, thankfully, some great individual skill trading off of one another in the elevator room has allowed for a 2v1. So they have stumbled back to their feet, and this was still the advantage of having those players freed up from A to be elsewhere on the map. Fatal's in the 1v1 versus Kelly B, and she's looking for her, but Fatal's missed the spray, and Kelly's going to get it. So 3 on the board now for Galaxy Racer as they finally break that mold and they find a CT side round. But the struggle is really only just beginning. There's still a lot of money over on the DeftFox side. This is going to be a very big grind to get back into this game, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, the thing is, Galaxy Racer need to get the momentum going, because if not, you know, if you lose this round again, you kind of have no loss bonus anymore, and it's not looking too great. So this round is quite important for them. Otherwise, Team DeftFox, they might be running away with quite a heavy lead eventually. And it looks like, you know, Team DeftFox are going to be taking some map control once again, having 2 people over here on ramp, looking for some sort of response. And this coming, we have some smokes and flashes coming in return, trying to bait out that utility, as they've done so many times before now. And so far it has worked. A nice wallbang there from Victoria. Good damage dealt, but Mariah is still ready and waiting. Of course, you know that there is present. They are coming up with the kills, and now flashes come out. Smokes and Molotovs are raining, and they are so eager to take this A bomb site now. Anna is boosted up here. Maybe she can spot someone and try to maybe spray someone down through the smoke, but it's not gonna happen. Ooh, and the Molotov is great. That makes sure that Team DeftFox, they are not gonna be able to plant now, and all this, pretty much almost all of the CTs are actually here. And if you look at the minimap, Kelly is already quite close on the flank as well, waiting down below in case they are trying to fall back. Oh, but Vilga standing out in the open, not expecting Victoria to come from that position. And now Elizabeth holding off the flank. It's looking pretty good now for Team DeftFox. Keisu is getting herself another one now. Anna leaving to clutch, and it's not going to happen. Team DeftFox, quite good execute, and I like the patience. You know, even though there is utility flying around, you need to keep your cool. And eventually, that resulted in a nice round 1 for them. Oh, and also, you know, I love, you know, the fact that DeftFox, they were not panicking too much. It looked so chaotic for a second there on A. But eventually, you know, if you're just making sure you keep a hold of your flank and you make sure that no one is going to be pushing any of those weird smokes, it should be fine. And that's what happened.
Well, Anna's saving for this AWP, and I keep saying it because I really want to see this happen, because I think she is such a key player here on this map without necessarily being in the greatest spots just yet. I would love to see in this follow-up round a triple ramp peak with her on this AWP, maybe even a deep smoke to try and break apart this hold a little bit. And then just have her, as I say, lock down this ramp side, because it's been a real like glaring problem, that and these mid plays. But if you get the AWP on ramp, suddenly you don't need 3 at A. Suddenly it's fine to just have Anna holding that down and getting the information, right? So hopefully that's an adjustment we can see with her saving for this AWP. I know she's found herself over towards the B bomb site every now and again. I just feel like the B AWP is good in like a double AWP setup, or if your opponents have been leaning B a lot. But it just feels like a lot of the time this B site is like an afterthought or like a fallback plan. And the way that they're kind of gaining entry into B a lot of the time is through middle as opposed to through this ramp side. I don't disagree with like the B ramp presence, but I think you need to go about it without this AWP and free that up over towards A, because that has been like a reoccurring problem. Even if the play hasn't ended up in the A bomb site, the fact that ramp is just given over, it is so much real estate, and it really does like force you to keep that 3-player hold inside of A. And as a result, like you're so much slower to get anywhere else on the map. And so the moment you lose a player in mid or you lose a player at B, everything is just up in arms. You know, you're scrambling to try and figure out where this play is coming in. You're scrambling on these rotates. And as we've seen with someone like Keisu, it's causing so many problems, right? Like think about how many times she's been on these flanks and gotten away with, you know, 2-3 kills cutting down these rotations. Well, the moment you have someone doing that, the round is over. And so we have the AWP back, and Anna is over here towards A, but she's actually setting up her teammates with the flashbangs. They're going to try and take this ramp area with the M4s, and there are players here on the other side. Hopefully this all ends with Anna moving into this position to try and help out, but the M4s can do a good job. And they have at least got one. It's been traded into a 4-on-4 thanks to Maria. And so ramp does fall back into the jurisdiction of DeftFox, but this time they've lost someone in the process.
Yeah, now Team DeftFox are taking things a little bit slower once again. You know, as soon as you lose that one player, you might want to rethink your strategy. But so far, Mariah here has got some control. Is pushed up onto that short position. And now, you know, the CTs are feeling the heat once again. And this is great. Elizabeth here down on mid, waiting for any rotations to happen, because they have been happening very, very quickly from the Galaxy Racer side. And now, you know, things are just changing. Team DeftFox once again with a 2-man lead. And that leaves just Kelly and 23 up for the rotation. And they are going to... Yeah, it's probably the best to save. You know, not a lot of money left in the bank. But it is sad to see, you know, they had such a good opportunity and a chance. And you know that there was still some presence there on A. But yeah, they were just a little bit too passive and afraid of making a play, but I have a feeling they might need that at this point in the game. Oh, the hunt begins. Will they be able to stay alive? That is the question. Oh, yeah, just right in time. But yeah, I mean, the T's are like almost hitting maximum money at this point, and the lead is just getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, money's still a little uncomfortable for Galaxy Racer.
I am liking that we're seeing more of a challenge at ramp, and 23 delivering that kill. Now's the perfect time to just get out of there, right? You're at a 5-on-4. They want to float around because they know they've got Maria trapped, and actually this is a very good decision to be making. Like they've got her trapped behind the tarp, and the rest of the team can't get through this smoke to help her out. But on the back of that kill not materializing, they fall back into this passive hole. And this is so much better. This round, once again, this is another one where Galaxy Racer have such a good chance to find a fourth on the back of this aggression, and they've extended it even further. And you can just see, right, like immediately, the advantage of keeping this ramp control out of the hands of DeftFox just becomes so evident, because it puts pressure on these players that have just been given free reign to lurk across the map and other places. It puts pressure on them to be the ones to make the play, and that forces them into a lot of these uncomfortable fights. So Galaxy Racer, this should be a fourth round for them, and it's really good. Right? I'm very, very happy that we've seen them catch on to the need to be taking ramp and starting to, you know, strip apart this control that DeftFox have had. On top of that, it sends like a bit of a message, you know, that you can't just keep falling back into this same play on the DeftFox side, because it's not going to keep working. Like they've kind of started to figure it out now. And so that's going to force them to have to switch things up in the coming rounds. And that's exactly what you want if you're Galaxy Racer. You know, you don't want this one golden strategy that's working every time for the opposition. You want them to be the ones making these changes. Elizabeth all alone here at a 1v4, and she's going to struggle to find much. With 3 players still up inside of this A site, while she does get one, the trade should come in. And yeah, there it is. They both just wide swing. They get that locked in. And so a fourth is now on the board.
Yeah, I think she just wanted to get some damage dealt there. She had plenty of money in the bank, so that was nothing for her to worry about. And if you can just take away 1 or 2 rifles, that would be nice. Trying to keep that economy low on the Galaxy Racer side. So at least 1 more kill for her. And it shouldn't be too much of a struggle now for Galaxy Racer. They have nice AKs as well. But with 1 of those rifles taken away last round, we see Ana here on just the FAMAS this round. And it might make the difference, you know, between an M4 and a FAMAS. You're going up against those AKs. Oh, and look at this. Claudia is making good work of that AK, but it will get traded very, very soon eventually. But she does have quite the info that there was not just 1 player there were multiple. So, you know, Ana and 23 are going to be looking into the mid very, very soon. But that does leave 1 player on either bomb side. I think they're very lucky that, you know, Team DeftFox was not ready to make any sort of play yet, because if they needed to rotate and then get back into a bomb side, then maybe it would have been lost. And now all that great work there, utility, she was looking away. And now kills are gonna go flying, but they fly both ways as things do get traded out. And I do love this position here of 23. She tried it before, but throwing that smoke and then boosting herself on the left. She is getting that nice first kill there, and that leaves Elizabeth now to clutch things out. And it's finally, we have a nice round from Galaxy Racer again. And now the scoreline is 5-8. And let's hope that they can keep it going. Oh, I love the positioning. Just in general, we've seen it yesterday from 23 as well, her positioning, and she changes her angles to a little bit more of those unexpected ones that you don't clear as first when you enter a bomb site. So that's really smart.
Yeah, this is a great spot to recover this half for Galaxy Racer. Like, the implications of taking ramp away were just huge, right? That round there, it forced the mid play into B if they were able to win it out. And this round, it freed up without even like having to take the peak. You just know that they're not going to go back to running this very, very fast ramp play. So it allowed for a double stack inside of B. And that meant, okay, Kelly B didn't get the kill onto K2, but it was at least traded, right? And that bit of real estate down towards the B site was taken away. And that's been a real problem for the Galaxy Racer CT side. Now, the A site has fallen, but a 4-on-4, this is still a very, very good spot to be in. It's this mid-lurk that could have presented a bit of danger, but Claudia's wisened up to that fact and dealt with it well. So now the advantage leaning in favor of the CTs. They're grouped up. They've got all the utility, right? There's nothing for DeftFox. Usually you would love to have some smokes left over here to slow down this retake, and that's not available to the T side. So they're playing at the full mercy of Galaxy Racer, who are allowed to get into this bomb site. Claudia taps down 1, a second kill for 23. And Maria falls right at the very end. The defuse is going to come on in, and it's 6 on the board now for Galaxy Racer. They're back in control. They've pieced this one together. They've sorted it out, and they've broken down this strategy that just worked essentially for, you know, 6-7 rounds for DeftFox. They've been able to just lay it to waste. And that's the thing, right? Like, with this not being DeftFox's map pick, and one that they're maybe not 100% comfortable on, they're not going to have that big depth of strategies to fall back on, you know, like that. The one that they had that was working really well. Well, now that it isn't, this is where we're probably going to see the cracks start to show, and this is where Galaxy Racer should be able to recover and find a 7-8 half, which all in all is pretty good.
Yeah, I liked in the last round that, you know, Claudia was aware of what they've been doing wrong for a few rounds now. She was taking care of that mid when the bomb was already planted, and she could easily find herself a nice kill. Ooh, Vilga there. It doesn't show up as through the smoke, but maybe one was already fading a tiny little bit. But that's a nice first kill to have if you Galaxy Race. You know, having this lead, but Victoria is not gonna say no just yet. She gets herself that kill onto 23. And now Team DeftFox, they have plenty of time, but it looks like they want to go back to their favorite bomb site once again towards that A. And Victoria sneaking in, still scoped in. Now I'm going to be questioning, you know, how are they going to get Vilga out of the way here? Are they just going to be walking into this? Are they going to mollying it out? at least try to flash, but okay, the dry peek, it's working. It was a little bit dangerous there for a second, but I guess the high risk definitely pays off here. So the lead is now back for Team DeftFox, but the time is low. So the question is, can they make it happen? There is a gap here in the smoke, and Anna was really trying to make a play there, but it gets expected. You know, Elizabeth turns around, gets the kill. And now Claudia and Kelly left in a 2 versus 4. Not very ideal, but you have to go for this. It's the last round.
Yeah, they're just walking into certain death at this point. There's so many crossfires set up. Kelly V, she'll get one, but that's it. 9-6 for DeftFox at the end of that T side. However, with the T side now beginning for Galaxy Racer, it's them in that same spot where they can dictate the pace. And DeftFox, this is going to be the ultimate test as to whether or not they can long this one out. You're going to have to join us for this second half of play in this second map of this series, with Galaxy Racer already 1-0 up, trying to get to that grand finals. Can they get there? You'll find out after a quick break.
Go? How hard can you go? How hard can you go? How hard can you go? How hard can you? How hard can you? How hard can you? How hard can you go? How hard can you go when the beat drop? How hard can you go when the beat drop?
Hello everyone and welcome back here at the second half on this nicely Vertigo map. It is Galaxy Racer against Team DeftFox on the second map here. Galaxy Racer took the first, and now let's see how they can do with this Vertigo. They're a little bit behind, but we're not done yet.
No, certainly not. And now with this T-side start, they're hoping to find this pistol round, right, to propel themselves back into this game. There was an attempt at spotting ramp there from Casey with a very, very heavy lean towards B and mid from the rest of DeftFox. And so I'm imagining sometime soon these rotations should start to begin. You don't want to have, you know, 3 players coming in on this flank. So it's likely going to be left to... I mean, I was going to say Victoria, I'm imagining, because she's going to be a little bit faster on the rotation. But that means Maria needs to start thinking about moving around into this site, because that bomb is already going down. And actually, it's going to be Victoria rotating in. No one coming in on this flank. All 5 players for DeftFox going to try and retake through CT and elevator. They have this one smoke. That goes down here at the bottom of ramp, and that makes it a little bit harder for the Galaxy Racer side to stop them from defusing this bomb, or so you might think, but they just swing out and they deal with that well. That's like a bit of a vintage Vertigo pistol round, right? Just the emphasis on taking ramp control, getting that bomb down, falling off, and then playing those ramp and short post plants. And I like that approach to a pistol round, right? Because you know that with the lacking utility being a huge factor in those pistols, you're going to be hard pressed on the CT side to get back into that site. And DeftFox are actually going to go for a force buy here. They throw a lot of money into this round. Now that's quite uncharacteristic of DeftFox. So I'm wondering what they've got up their sleeve to try and get them over the finish line here in round 17.
Yeah, they've done it a few times before. Mostly it was on the CT side, not on the T side, weirdly enough. And this is interesting, you know, they have a 2-round lead. They can afford to, you know, eco this one out and then buy the next. But I guess they're very eager to keep that lead going the way as it is. And they're actually deciding to kind of like play heavily on B there with 3 people over on ramp. But no one, oh, actually, it's 4. Even more. And the question is, no one is really going to be peeking, so what is their answer going to be? Victoria is spotting someone out there. Yeah, and suddenly, it's getting a little bit chaotic, you know. Faisal does find Anna there, but the bomb now, it's going to be making its way towards that A-bomb site, and Claudia, she's kind of trying to do a similar thing that DeftFox was doing, but sadly, the gun is not working in her favor. She does tag up someone pretty badly. So, like, 3 of the people that are on Team DeftFox are heavily tagged up. Maybe the AKs are able to do it. It's a 4-on-2. And the thing is, you know, if you Galaxy Racer, oh man, this must be tough if you're gonna lose this one. 23 now, all to do it on her own, and it's not gonna happen as Team DeftFox. They sandwich her in there over on ramp, and they can easily get the defuse. And they take 2 AKs with them as well.
Yeah, that's a bit of a overzealous round from Galaxy Racer, right? Like Claudia, her position is fine because she hears the rotations coming back from B. She's kind of in a very rough spot, right? So she just hunkers down in mid. It was the over-aggression into CT that I wasn't a huge fan of, right? Because you already know that everyone is rotated back in through this position thanks to the information that Claudia got. And so I think it was Anna. I'm not 100% sure, but it was someone for Galaxy Racer pushing into CT with the MAC-10, tries to cut down those players in rotation and like make that aggression worth it. But in doing so, she allows herself to fall, and then that just leaves her 2 teammates in a very, very rough spot back at ramp. Like really, if you're going to dedicate 2 players into pushing that aggressive, you need them to at least, at the very, very least, be getting like a 1-for-1. And they weren't able to do that just because of the sheer numbers running up against them. So it's like one of those cases where you get a bit overzealous, you try and deal with the flanks, and then that actually ends up being your undoing. You know, you imagine how different that round could have been if there were even 3 players back towards ramp playing for that post plant, so they could have had a dedicated short player to avoid that wrap that ended up sandwiching 23 and Kelly V down towards ramp. So that's a bit of a shame that it ends up going down the way that it does. And now they've only got these pistols. They're boosting players up here behind the plywood. This is always a little bit risky because it's very, very spammable. And as they deal with the first, it's now become very, very clear that this is a B play as well, because you need a lot of players there to be throwing these boosts up. The pistol's now looking to close the distance, but with no utility, this should be a clean round for DeftFox.
Yeah, only 1 player had to lose her life. It was fatal, but it should be okay. Keisu has quite a lot of money in the bank. Will be able to drop Victoria as well. And actually very interesting to see, because maybe, just maybe, yes! Victoria dropped her weapon onto Fatal, and Victoria is gonna go for that op now. That's gonna be very interesting to see what she's gonna do now on the CT side. She's gonna play over on A, which I think is the better decision here. And once again, Alper will set up with some flashes and leaves kind of K2 there to kind of do some magic there with that AK, but it gets smoked off, so it's all fine. You know, try to maybe spray through it. But so far, not a whole lot happening. You know, Galaxy Race are taking things a little bit more slow. They have a few people over on B, a few on mid. And We have now some smokes being deployed here over on B, and there are 2 players there. They're gonna at least counter it with 1 smoke. So if they were aiming to push there, it's definitely gonna be quite hard to do exactly that. But there is a little bit of a gap. Oh, and that is working so good there for Kelly. She's just gonna press W and keep on pushing. And suddenly, you know, the bomb can get planted. She's ready for rotation to happen, but Victoria is quicker on that trigger, and now it's a 4-on-3.
Yeah, and it looked like they were going to keep hunting that ult, but they do just decide to fall back into the site. Yeah, you know, and I imagine at this point you have a very, very fresh memory of how that A round just a matter ago fell apart thanks to that over-aggression. So this is nice, right? They really like tempered it down. They're holding on to all these guns. They're going to get away with that AK that's dropped back in CT as well. And so that's some money made here for Galaxy Racer. Now, DeftFox getting away with 3, that is kind of problematic in a sense, because it allows for like a very good investment to come in the next round regardless for this CT side. So they get another go at this. They get another go at this round. That smoke was interesting. You highlighted it, right? How there was a gap in it. I didn't catch who threw it, whether or not it was, I don't know if you did, whether or not it was Galaxy Racer who threw that, or if it was DeftFox.
It was by the CTs, yeah. It was
okay, yeah, right. So that's like the problem, because that would have been a really, really cool, like by design smoke if that was thrown by Galaxy Racer. The fact that that was one dropped by DeftFox is like a real problem. You can't afford to be making those kind of mistakes when holding down these sites against the pushes, because Galaxy Racer are always going to look to use little gimmicks like that against you if you give that over. So that's like a little minute detail, but it's something that can't afford to happen. Look into the future. DeftFox going to assemble this boost over here towards the ramp side, and this is pretty devastating, right? Like normally you'll check it, but I find that this boost is so often good for just getting that 1 kill and then dropping down. On top of that, it gets you a lot of information as well, and you'll note that because they've pulled this in, it's freed up Elizabeth, who's number 9 on the minimap. She was here inside of this A bomb site as well. Well, she's now made her way over towards middle, and she's going to strengthen this mid hold, which could come in handy considering Claudia and Vilga were leaning towards this side of the map.
Yeah, and Claudia is now backing off a little bit as she got actually tagged by Elizabeth through that smoke. And, you know, that kind of changes the way where Galaxy Racer is aiming to go towards. But K2 there, you know, she was expecting the T's to be there and hoping to catch some of the players off guard, but instead they were looking that way. The push was expected. So now 10-8 lead here for Galaxy Racer going into this round, but still time is low, and we've seen before that sometimes these pushes can become so fatal this late in the round. Util's still there, and it is able to cover Vilga and to get the bomb down safely, and now they need to take active plan positioning. And the thing is, how are they going to be handling this, the CTs? They have a limited amount of util. They do have some flashbangs. They need to make great use of it. Oh, there are flashbangs gonna go, but actually not really blinding anyone, but the kills are still going their way. Suddenly, Kelly, last player alive. It is Fatal that will be tapping the bomb, but sadly it's only 1 kill for Kelly and a little bit of damage. But still, that retake was actually pretty solid considering they had only a few flashbangs and 1 nade.
Yeah, this is a little bit awkward, right? Because it's like, it feels like, you know, 9 months ago, that play into A would have worked brilliantly. You know, like that was the bread and butter of Vertigo. However, now, and what DeftFox were doing really well over on their T side is this map is a lot more about misdirection, you know, and like sending your opponents to the wrong side of the map. And Galaxy Racer haven't really been doing that for me. Like, if you showed me this VOD, I would assume that it was the map pick of DeftFox with how proficient they've looked in comparison to that of Galaxy Racer on the other side. Now, in this round 23, she's been very, very good at this down towards ramp. She just kind of decides like enough is enough. She gets flashed in for that close peek, and she's dealt with this ramp aggression. That's something that's been kind of hamstringing this A play a hell of a lot. So props to 23 there. She's opened this entire round up, and this has actually left Galaxy Racer in a very, very good situation. Anna even hears these players looking to save, and she shuts one of them down. Elizabeth might have just caught a timing to get away with the M4, but it's grim consolation for a round just slipping by. 9 on the board now for Galaxy Racer, and 4 players staying alive. So once again, money made here for this T side.
Oh, this was a round that Galaxy Racer really needed, and thankfully they can kind of like start to rebuild that economy. And on the DeftFox side, you know, it's not looking too great. You know, they are trying to keep DeftFox's economy low, and I mean, they're doing a pretty good job now. And considering, you know, the score lines are creeping a little bit closer again, this the timing is good. And let's see what that does. Maybe it will light that fire back up under Galaxy Racer and make sure that they can still manage to keep a hold of this T site. But you know, the rounds are ticking away, and you need to do it now. It would be actually very interesting, you know, what if DeftFox will pick, like, suddenly the map pick of Galaxy Racer? What will happen on Dust 2 then?
This is an interesting round as well, because we got this AWP on Victoria going aggressive at ramp. She spots that there's not really many players here. And then we also have B aggression going on at the same time. Now, mid has been left open as a result, and that was the only little avenue the Galaxy Racer could have really looked to exploit. And boy, oh boy, have they exploited it to the fullest extent. Claudia and Vilga, this entire round just rested on their shoulders, and they have answered the call absolutely brilliantly. They get 3 kills between them. This is surely going to force a save out from DeftFox unless too many kills are given over here. But once again, like, they're showing a lot of restraint. They're not looking to have these rounds unravel like they have in the past. You know, they lose Claudia trying to hunt down this AWP. You can afford to throw one player at the problem, but they don't want to throw any more. They want to get to this spot where they've got enough money that they don't have to worry about losing a round and then instantly being relegated back down to those pistols. And that's, interestingly enough, where DeftFox have found themselves now. So this is a nice little, like, path to the comeback for Galaxy Racer, considering that this was looking to be pretty one-sided early on. Now that they've got a handle back on the money, they're kind of forcing DeftFox to go for these plays like the double B push, even though they've got ramp control. This is all boding well. Vilga does die to the bomb. That's a bit of a shame, because it does, like, impact how much money you come out of that round with, as now you have to rebuy on 2 when you could have had the option for just 1. And you see that, like, for players like Vilga and Claudia, it's cost them pretty dearly, but everyone else is fine in terms of the money now. And the same can't be said for DeftFox. So the pressure now starting to get applied to this CT side squad. This AWP in this round on Victoria, gonna have to try and do a hell of a lot. And that nice little double mid-nade stack in through the window in mid has already really kind of dealt with this AWP threat. You know, Victoria can't play aggressive anymore. She's got to take these very, very passive lies with the AWP, and so she's going to struggle to find the impact that was really needed of her in this round if they wanted to pick it up.
Ooh, but that's a nice kill there from K2. They were trying to use their Molotov to kind of force the CTs out of position, but instead the kill went their way. And that maybe that might leave some room here for Team DeftFox to work with. You know, they know that that M4 is now onto this A-bomb site, and they need to make sure to take care of it. And MRSK, she has found herself an AK as well, so suddenly this might get very, very dangerous. There's going to be a flash over towards that ramp. Mariah's just looking towards that ramp, but she's not really spotting anyone. And now Galaxy Racer are doing a change of plan. They are going to be, and now it's Victoria, and she needs to step up with that up. She connects the first, not the second, sadly. And now a 3-on-3, and needs to happen. The bomb will go down. Oh, and everyone's still so close in 23. She might be met with 3 people very soon. Oh, but Vilga will close it out there with a 2K. And, well, got scary for a second, but it's all good, and Galaxy Racer are still in this game.
Yeah, very much so. And well played there by 23, right? To get the kill onto Victoria. That was so key, even though it might have felt like a very minor frag in the round. Like it just stops her being able to go on any more of a run with the AWP. And 23 is then able to stay alive in the front lines, you know, keep laying down the pain, deny them retrieving that AWP. And that has huge implications, not just because, you know, maybe they would have saved, maybe they would have held on to it into this round and then they would have had one, which they don't now. But, you know, just having an AWP, even on ecoing players, can make such a difference. You know, it's such a powerful weapon to have. So she does a hell of a lot in that round there. Now we've got the investment back in for DeftFox, but you'll note that it's lacking in quite a lot of ways. They've got kind of everything they would need, like a very bare bones bit of utility. You've got enough to hold off some of these pushes. This is where, for Galaxy Racer, I want to see them start to, I say start to, more continue to go for this like misdirection play, try and burn out this very, very limited utility on the DeftFox side, because they've got so much more on this T side. Elizabeth is going to get flashed in for a ramp peek, and no one's actually keeping an eye on it. With that kill, she's dropped the bomb, and she's taken an early advantage for DeftFox. 23 now feels pressured to try and get this trade, and Casey caught looking the wrong way. Victoria's going to swing in and kind of save the day, kind of bail them out of the danger that 23 represented. It's a 3-on-3 now, and a bit of a stalemate over here at ramp. There's not really the timing to go back to B anymore, so they are committed into this bomb site, and they've got to be pretty fast in their approach here. That bomb's going to go down. A bit of chip damage done through the smoke, thanks to Maria, rather. I was going to say Fatal, but it's actually Maria back in CT. Now with the bomb down, it's the utility that becomes a problem for DeftFox. They've got to win these fights, and they're not able to do so. So 12-12 for Galaxy Racer. They tie this one up. They break the money of DeftFox again. And similar to how Overpass felt like it was like balancing on a knife's edge, and it all came down to the money at the very, very end of the game, Vertigo could very much go in that same favor.
Oh, I do love my close games here. Things are tied up once again. But, you know, this round should very much go towards Galaxy Racer. They are having the rifles and the util. And DeftFox just need to do it with the pistol. So, definitely not as much firepower. But the last three people alive do have them deagles. And God knows what they can work and do with that. Casey was trying to make it happen. Elizabeth actually does manage to find herself one kill, but I don't think one will be enough. 3 men already fallen on the DeftFox side, and just only one on the Galaxy Racer side. So, you know, they're having quite a hard task, but they can technically try and go for this, try to get some damage dealt, and maybe take away a rifle or two. And Elizabeth is here in the sound cues, and she's hoping that maybe, just maybe, someone will exit through that. Maybe that's going to be the case, but the kill is not connecting, sadly. So now the lead is back into the hands of Galaxy Racer, and the money is back for Team DeftFox. So they need to rethink of, you know, what are we going to be doing? How are we going to be countering the plays of Galaxy Racer now that we have the rifles again? And also interesting to see how Victoria is going to be using that AWP, because she played it sometimes on B, sometimes on A. And I feel like it had more impact on A, but very interesting to see how they will take on this round.
Yeah, I think when you look at teams that are very proficient on Vertigo, teams like, I'm thinking like North or like Astralis, right? It always feels like someone like MSL or Device, they're going to be taking that AWP and they're going to be using it to supplement this ramp hold early on. I would love to see that out of Victoria. I really would, because as you say, it feels like it has been a lot more impactful over at the A site. The B ramp duel as well is just a bit of an awkward one for AWPers, I feel like. It feels very, very 50-50, whereas at ramp, you really can just come into your element and lock it down. So let's see. Yeah, like she's taken it here. She's gone for that early peak. She's complemented by the deep ramp smoke. So she's given a lot of freedom here to find the position and try find this early pick. And her being here allows for this aggression down towards this corner of ramp for Keisu. This is almost like the overpass long corner bait and switch, but the problem is because Victoria, her presence wasn't known just yet, they were actually very, very focused on clearing that corner, and Victoria peaks after Keisu's been dealt with, so they're already homed in on shore. It's almost like if in that long overpass bait and switch, you know, you go for like having the player tucked in the corner make the contact first. It just doesn't work as well because you're always going to be bearing long in mind. It's the corner player who has to be the surprise, and it's a very much the kind of same thing here on Vertigo. Now Fatal has given them a bit of a lifeline with that kill. She's put it into a 4-on-4. Now while all this is going on and while this A execute's coming in, there's there are going to be these rotations around from the B bomb site, but these smokes make matters very, very tricky for DeftFox. They're not able to find a kill on these entries. And so instead, they just have to set up for the retake. And once again, it's the lack of utility that's going to prove to be a problem. That one smoke has come out towards ramp. But with all that being in your arsenal and now gone, you've got no choice but to save. You lose someone early in that retake. You're left in a 2-on-4 with your money hanging in the balance up against 14. You don't want to go for this. You want to save. And really, you need to get away with both of these guns. And that's where Claudia, if she even takes one away, it's so key. She gets the information, but does go down. And I imagine they dedicate maybe one more player to hunting this one. Kelly B's looking for it, but they have eluded her. They've gotten away.
Oh, that's so important though for Team DeftFox. I mean, on overpass, they still managed to get that comeback going. So we're not saying no just yet. But of course, yeah, money's not looking too great. They are having some rifles, they are having some utility. But, you know, the money cannot really build, and it can on the Galaxy Racer side, and that is a nice early pick there by Kelly onto Mariah, and that's the second one as well, and looks like 23 is just wanting to keep going, but Victoria is ready to trade her out. But still, 2 kills on the DeftFox side. Oh, well, look at that positioning from Fatal. She's going to be sitting close ramp. And of course, with that heavy aggression that was already there on A, it wasn't really expected that they would kind of do a similar thing on B. And that's, yeah, suddenly things are changed. Team DeftFox is now, as far as the people alive goes, DeftFox is in the lead now. And Vilga and Anna, they need to think of something to do right now, because of course they do have plenty of time to work with. They have the bomb, but you know, 2 versus 3, and you still also have that op to take care of. It looks like they're just gonna be going very quietly towards B. I hope they will make use of their util, but
if they pick up the pace though, like this is worrying. DeftFox have lent very heavily over towards A, thanks to this flank from Elizabeth. They should have had the info that it's all clear. They still haven't rotated. I'm almost left wondering, like, where do they think Galaxy Racer could be at this A bomb site? And now the pennies dropped a little too late. Vilga and Anna are in a 2-on-3. Okay, yeah, they are lacking in terms of the manpower, but these two, right, they're not to be trifled with, and they've had time to get set up and play around this bomb. It's planted for ramp, and that's where Anna's taken up her position now. Providing she's able to deal with someone like Elizabeth coming in on this flank, that would make all the difference, and she isn't able to do so. Vilga falling shortly therein after, and the defuse is going to come on in for DeftFox. They'll get a 13th. And really, it hinges on Elizabeth catching that timing to deal with Anna, because she was falling back towards ramp. And if she was just keeping an eye on that spot, that would have made all the difference, right? Because if you deal with that ramp flank, you fall back, you play the bomb, you can win the round off of that, no matter the odds. So yeah, that's a key kill to go in favor of DeftFox, and that's the reason why they just about hang on there.
yeah, well, thank God that retake worked, because otherwise it would have been such a mistake that was happening. You know, I do think, you know, that keeping maybe 2 players there on A, considering all the aggression that was there, was maybe, you know, the thing I would do. But completely abandoning B, that's a risk. And eventually it did work. But yeah, now things are getting very, very close again. Probably not what Galaxy Racer would have wanted, but the money is still there, so both teams are not really out of the run just yet, and it can go pretty much either way. And once again, Galaxy Racer are kind of towards the A ramp once again, trying to get some control going. And here we go. Util is being deployed, but Team DeftFox is just going to be sitting. You know, we've seen in the last round before, and that all turned to a fake eventually. So they have limited utility, so they're trying to keep a hold of that, of those smokes and flashes, yeah, for the time they actually need it. Now, with every single player here, we've got this Racer out here on A ramp. It's only one place it's gonna be A here, and oh, that Molotov will at least force K2 out of position, kind of blocking Victoria there for a second. But there's plenty of smokes, and Claudia is taking care of that rotation. That is brilliant. And now a 5-on-4, looking pretty good for Galaxy Racer here.
This is where you're devastated for DeftFox. They used that one smoke early to try and slow down the push, and Galaxy Racer just ran through it with all their utility going into the site. So, as has been a frequent problem, they're left to try and retake, and all they can do is win these gunfights. While they do trade it short, there's the lineup for Claudia. She comes back. She's got 3 in the round. She's been so important, and she solidifies it with a 4th. You can see why she's been the top-rated player here thus far. She takes that whole round into her hands, and with no utility left to go up against her, right? Claudia looks so comfortable when she's got you in like an even odds fight. Like, I'm always putting my money on her to win those out. And so the fact that, you know, there's no smokes, like, you imagine if there was one smoke even, or even a Molotov in that retake, you're able to shut down one of those angles, be it short, be it ramp, and suddenly that could be such a different round. But they didn't have it, and so they were just left to try and win the gunfight straight up. Now, up against 15, up against elimination, DeftFox, they need 2 in a row to get this game into overtime.
Oh, and it's looking so good here for Galaxy Racer. If you look at the weapons, but okay, the MP9 is definitely doing its work here. And now, flashbang in return, but no one really seems to be overstepping so far. So it all seems calm and collected, you know, trying to regroup. And making, I mean, Fatal at least is making sure that no one is really trying to do anything there on mid. But suddenly, you know, people are walking out here on B. So Victoria now, she needs to do something with that AWP. But it's getting hauled by Anna. So the case is who is going to be peeking first. And it looks like, so far, oh, Anna does spot her. Oh, but there's a second player there, Elizabeth with the MP9. And suddenly 23 is alone and leaving to clutch this one out. And I don't think... Yeah, well, I mean, definitely there is not a lot of util left for the CTs, but 3 versus 1 is a hard task here. And with 30 seconds left. Oh my god, what is she gonna do with this one?
Yeah, she's given it long enough to put the seed of doubt in the mind of DeftFox that maybe this bomb was going back towards A. And now she's going to creep forward, but she's got to be ready for this MP9 up close. Elizabeth. Oh, it's actually going to be Victoria. This sniped the round away. 14 for DeftFox. And there was a moment there. So obviously, like, we don't know what's going on in the communications, but there was a moment to me where it looked like 23 was trying to tell Anna to leave that B site and come back towards A, because 23 was walking up A ramp. And honestly, I think if they'd done that, they could have won that round, because the A site was empty. You know, they'd throw in, essentially at that point, what it boiled down to was something that was resemblant of like a fake in towards that site. And maybe if they'd done that and they'd followed through with the fallback into A, they could have picked that up. But now they've lost someone early. It's 23 to go down again. She's been so key over here towards ramp. Keisu following up with another. Overtime on the cards. 3 players left for Galaxy Racer to try and deny that privilege to DeftFox. And they are going to be hard-pressed to find anything here. They start to fall back. They start to move towards B. But DeftFox are already on the rotation. They've got such an advantage that they can afford to make this gamble happen. And critically, Victoria with the AWP is holding down ramp. I've spoke about this, what feels like all of Vertigo. And finally, we're seeing why this is so strong. Look at the rotation this is allowed for. There's a 3-on-3 in the B bomb site. Kelly V, oh, she might just be the savior, though. She's opened up with a double, and no matter how many players were stacked here, it doesn't matter if Kelly V's going to hit her shots. Elizabeth and Victoria, they've got to try and make this happen. Elizabeth does find a lot of damage, but not quite the killing blow. The rotation from her AWPing friend comes in. And now it's them up against it on the back foot from a 3-on-5 to a 2-on-3. They've got to get back into this round.
Oh, Anna there finding Victoria, and it leaves Elizabeth to do it, but it's not gonna happen in Galaxy Razor. Oh man, was it close, but they take DeftFox down 2-0 here in this consolidation final. And that means we will see a rematch of yesterday, because they will be facing Originum very, very soon.
Yeah, right. And that's going to be a great game to see, especially with Galaxy Racer looking like they're in good form today, and everyone stepping up equally. You know, I think Kelly B had some very key rounds over towards that B bomb site, and that round there was just such a good example of it. She then she got the information that there was a player on the double stack boxes, and then doesn't just take the kill right away. She maneuvers and she gets herself into a forward position, shuts down 2. That was so good from her, and what a turnaround to pick that round up in a 3-on-5. I'm kind of speechless that they were able to get that done in regulation.
Yeah, so now the big question is, who do you think that will take the crown in the final, Harry?
I'm going to go Galaxy Racer on this one. I don't know why. I just think Claudia's looking really good, and today she does have the supporting cast around her, but I'm fully aware of the women she's up against. You know, I think it's fair to say that Originum, they've got the big names, they've got the big brand names, and that's a very scary thing to be up against, especially in a grand final.
Yeah, well, we will find that out very, very shortly. We will go back to the desk after a very short break, so stay with us, and we will actually see you guys back next week, because we have NA coming up next weekend, and well, see you back then.
Out the oven, I'm piping hot. Get too close and you might get shocked. Told everybody sit back, just watch while I climb all the way to the top. Oh no, I can't just pass by, cause my electric glow, it shines too bright. And everywhere I go, I catch all eyes. They must have never seen a goddess in plain sight. Ooh, want too much for you. A whole lot of power in these high heel shoes. Ooh, shining how I choose, cause I rule the world and my girls do too. Too much for you. You're gonna need shades to enjoy this view. Ooh, shining how I choose, cause I rule the world and my girls do too. Excuse me while I take the floor. Spotlight shining, it's my show. And you gon' love me a little bit more, cause I got that electric glow. Didn't know it, now you know. Want you vibing with my flow. You ain't never gonna let it go. Don't you see my electric glow? Fresh out the oven, I'm sparkling. Lighting up every room I walk in, so intelligent, all I do is win. Didn't hear me before, let me say it again. No, I can't just pass by, cause my electric glow, it shines too bright. And everywhere I go, I catch all eyes. They must have never seen me light up the night sky. Ooh, want too much for you. A whole lot of power in these high heel shoes. Ooh, shining how I choose, cause I rule the world and my girls do too. Ooh, want too much for you. You're gonna need shades to enjoy this view. Ooh, shining how I choose, cause I rule the world and my girls do too. Excuse me while I take the floor. Spotlight shining, it's my show. And you won't let me. We will stand our ground.
Welcome back to the DreamHack Showdown Summer 2020, and there you have it, some of the final moments in that series and some of the final moments of DeftFox in this tournament. And you girls were right, Sapphire. DeftFox still put up a pretty impressive performance, didn't they?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, they should be proud of this. They took a really qualified team right to the end, but it was the veterans that reigned supreme today.
What was the issue with DeftFox's CT size, though, Potter? I feel like it was a theme during this tournament, always so confident in those attacks, and yet it seemed like today something was not quite there.
Yeah, I hate to have such a broad term, but I gotta say inexperience. I do have to clarify also, Vertigo, DeftFox clearly looked like the better team through and through, almost every single round, in fact. And I think the heroics from Galaxy, the heroics from Kelly really shined through, and they just won out on those trades where they brute forced in those 2-3 splits that they consistently pulled out. But either way, DeftFox, they certainly looked like the more prepared team on Vertigo. They looked like they were more fundamentally sound, but unfortunately, when you're just losing out on the headshots and losing out on the trades, it doesn't work out for you more often than not.
It looked like to me at points, especially on Overpass, that the game plan for Galaxy Racer was, let's just take down the ladies we know are gonna come and retake this site from us, specifically Victoria, especially that final round, Sapphire. Is that something you noticed, or am I just clutching at straws here?
No, you're right. I mean, they proved that they had a good retake strategy, DeftFox. So kind of Galaxy Racer needed to adjust there and stop the ability to retake. And yeah, we almost saw like a role change in Claudia, where instead of being kind of the entry, being very aggressive, like her job was just to kind of stay back, watch the flank, keep pressure on the other sites to stop that ability to rotate and retake.
Do you think another thing that maybe DeftFox need to look at is their bank, Potter? Because it definitely always felt like Galaxy Racer were one step ahead with their money.
Yeah, no, I thought actually the opposite for me. I thought Galaxy Racer's money management was quite poor. We saw early on in that first half that Anna was without an op on multiple occasions. They had FAMAS buys, MP9 buys, and I understand that so early on in the rounds, you want to be able to actually put some rounds on the board, especially on the CT side of Vertigo. But I do think that if they played that a little bit more conservatively, we would have seen that op coming out on Anna's back a little bit earlier, and they could have put up a little bit more of a fight early on. Thankfully, for their sake, they were actually able to garner 6 rounds on that CT side, because for a little bit there, it was completely looking like it was in DeftFox control.
And what about mid control though? DeftFox seemed to just kind of let their enemies just take the B site, giving them a lot of space in mid, Sapphire. Is that typical for Vertigo?
No, I don't think so. A lot of teams like to challenge mid, keep it very versatile. They played more of like very passive, focused on wanting to retake, and that was kind of their downfall in the end.
So looking at Galaxy Racer then, obviously didn't have the best time against our finalist Originum in their opening upper bracket final against each other. Looking at the Galaxy Racer we saw today, do you think it's going to be a much more competitive rematch, Potter?
I think so. I gotta be honest with you ladies though, man, my oxygen levels in that series was way down. Like, there were so many moments where I had my jaw open and I just wasn't breathing. Whether it was Anna's heroics, Kelly's heroics, but also the failures that happened. There was a lot of 1v3 scenarios that Galaxy Racer they looked so puzzled on. There was even scenarios where Galaxy Racer had the entirety of A site. We had Vilga pushed in CT spawn. We had Claudia holding all of mid. There was no world where DeftFox should have been able to garner some sort of a retake. And even going back to Overpass, there was a scenario where 23 had plenty of time on the clock. I went in the server, I opened up Overpass, and I timed it with the bomb down. There was 8 seconds left on the clock, and she just kind of gave up. She didn't even attempt to go for the plant. So there's just some questionable plays coming out, and I think it's the nerves, it's the adrenaline pumping, it's certainly the time kind of coming out of your grasp. So I think they have to absolutely focus up, because the sloppiness, it was really there.
Oh, we have got a phone call. Every single time the phone rings, I always go, oh, but it's a genuine surprise. But it's not a surprise as to who's on the line, because we've got 23 from our Victors Galaxy Racer Esports. 23, congratulations. How does it feel to be in the final?
Thank you. I'm so happy that we won today, because yesterday we were not confident in ourselves and we lost yesterday, but today it's our day.
Good.
I feel so happy.
That's great. Your confidence definitely showed there on Vertigo. Talk to us about that pick. We know you kind of floated it out there. You didn't play Vertigo at all yesterday. Now you did today. How does your team feel on that map?
We were practicing Vertigo a lot, and I think we feel pretty confident on this map. It's just like last weeks, we have not been practicing it a lot, but we played this map and I think we're really good on this map.
23, I have to ask you about that round on Overpass where you were near the truck, the Optimus area at A site. There was about 8 seconds left on the clock. It was a 1 versus 1. What was going through your mind in that moment? Why didn't you plant?
Bomb was down like next to default and I didn't have time to pick it up and plant the bomb. So that's why I went to save op. Like it was 3 seconds left and there was no time for me to plant. So that's why I saved.
23, one of the things I really enjoyed about your Overpass game is the trio of yourself, Anna, and Vilga on the A site towards long and, of course, towards mid. Can you talk to me about how communication works when you know the T's are making a hit?
We have some like moves and we just call like what move we do and we ask for the flash and that's basically all that we do and just communicate about that.
So how do you feel about your rematch now against Origin?
How do I feel? I think today it's like, yesterday it was just not our day. And I feel more confident today about our games. But we'll see, I guess.
Finally, what have you learned from your previous 2 series, 23? What is the one thing you know you need to be more of aware of going into this final?
We should just play our game and we should trust our calls, we should trust our teammates, we should play more aggressive and we shouldn't be scared. It's like we were just not playing our game yesterday and that's all. And if we will come today as against DeftFox, then we'll see how it goes anyways.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing that game later in our grand finals. Congratulations and we'll see you very soon, 23.
Thank you. Thank you.
23 there. She seems pretty chill. As she said, there were some nerves. It seems like there's still some nerves today, Potter. But let's talk about those individuals again, as this seems to be the running thing with Galaxy Racer Esports, specifically Kelly V, who you said needed to go big before that series, and she absolutely did on Overpass, didn't she, Potter?
Oh my God, she absolutely did. And you know, Kelly V, even thinking back on yesterday, whenever I'm watching her play, she's actually so fundamentally sound. She's rarely ever making mistakes. She's not going for heroic moments. Even when she's on the bottom of the scoreboard, she's still just maintaining her own responsibilities. And I really appreciate that about her play style. Now, in the stats helix that I wanted to go over, if we could bring that up on the board here, it's gonna be the round 11 to 14, and this is actually one of Kelly's aces, and I just wanted to highlight why it all went down. You're gonna see DeftFox here. They're putting a lot of pressure, a lot of utility down towards this middle, and those 2-3 packs, the splits I was talking about, you're seeing it here between Claudia and Kelly V. They're making their way onto short A. They know that a lot of traffic is on the other side of the map, so they're making a play. They're gonna try to trade it out. The one thing I didn't like is that they actually split up here, and the chances of Claudia unable to trade Kelly V comes into play, but fortunately for them, the timing is completely on their side, and Kelly V does a nice wraparound. Claudia's got all the attention. This is 2 easy free cleanups for Claudia, or for Kelly rather, and it was just a really decisive, intelligent move. And even going back over to Overpass, we saw Kelly making similar plays just like this with Claudia, with Vilga, splitting up. It was like that 2-man hunting party. So I really appreciated this look coming out of Galaxy.
Well, we'll be talking more about the hunting parties very soon because we have got a grand final underway. And if there are any top traders in this scene, well, it's both of these teams. The teamwork is phenomenal and so are the individuals. But we've got to take a short break because, of course, we need to let our players get their heads back into the game because there's a lot on the line here. We are nearly going to find out who our champions of the DreamHack Showdown Summer Europe are going to be. So please stick with us and we'll be back very soon.